said, she won't forsake me, I'm in her hand. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely, surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our Mother and Daughter and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end.
How many mothers do you have? The obvious answer is one, the person who gave birth to you. True enough, but it's not all the truth. It's just part of the truth of mothering and creation. Now, this is a very, very special Sunday for me because that mother, the woman who gave me the gift of life, died exactly 1 year ago this weekend. And I can tell you that she knew right away that I needed more than one mother. When I was a little girl and was having really big feelings, she would suggest that I call my best friend Jan. Looking back, I see how smart my mother was to understand that she didn't have to have all the answers all the time. Friends of all ages and all genders can be mothers in our lives, encouraging us, cheering us up or on. So how many mothers do I have? I started really to ponder this week, and especially rereading that book I had read to my girls when they were younger. Well, we all have one mother in common. Do you know what mother I'm talking about? The earth. Very good, Mother Earth. None of us would be here without that mother. So my first answer, one mother, is wrong. We all have at least two mothers. Agreed? The mother who gave us the gift of birth and Mother Earth. That's two mothers. Some of you might want to start keeping track. Two mothers so far. And then for some of us, as that glorious song we just heard, Holy Mother God is the most life-giving and affirming way of imagining and relating to that experience of interconnectedness that we sometimes call God or Father God. It's been true for me ever since I was in my 20s. Using that word Holy Mother God changed my relationship with the divine, which gets me up to 3 mothers just for me so far. And then, of course, some of us are adopted, the way Lila was. Lila, our senior minister, Marlon and Anitra's daughter. She has her birth mom, Anitra, and her adopted mom, who she's still in relationship with because of their open adoption. So Lila has at least 3 mothers. But when I asked Lila, I called her up this week, when I asked Lila how many mothers she has, she started naming them. Anitra, my birth mom Danielle, Jane Newman, Leah Storm, and you. Wow. I love having that many moms. She said it's fun. And then again, lots of us have parents who divorced and remarried, so we have step-parents. Cynthia is my bonus mother's name. So I think I'm up to 4 mothers, but then I remembered that I was given a godmother when I was born. Her name is Bearable, so that's 5 mothers just for me. And we all probably know someone who's being raised by a grandparent or has foster children or taking care of children in guardianship. And we all probably know someone who had a pretty terrible mother. And that might be some of you here this morning. You can put your hand on your heart if you want to. Because not everyone is ready to be a mother or was mothered well themselves. And you may be here now hoping or praying to be reparented in some healthy, nurturing relationships within this congregation. I do believe that some of our most important work at All Souls is creating caring relationships that can hold us as we grieve not having received the love and attention that we needed when we were little, and then walking together in the ways of love as we heal ourselves and each other in our relationships. Mothering is really, really hard work. So it's really good to remember that we don't have to do it alone, that we do it together here. And especially in this community, that we can allow ourselves to be mothered by people we choose to trust and know we can trust, people of all gender identities and sexual orientations, because we know in our bones that no woman can do it all alone. The truth is, our world needs a whole lot of good mothering these days. Mirabai Starr, professor of philosophy and world religions and author of Wild Mercy, Living the Fierce and Tender Wisdom of the Women Mystics, writes this: "This world needs all kind of women and every kind of mother. Maybe you've not birthed a baby, and instead you mother the world, or your niece and your nephew, or your friend's kids, or you adopted a child who came through another woman's body, or perhaps you've grown a person in your own womb, and the first time you look into the eyes of your baby boy or girl and they look back, you feel your heart is about to explode. Mothering," she writes, "is a quantum love leap." So now, how many mothers do you think you have? Before you get too far in counting, I have one more to add, important to mention on this Mother's Day. Julia Ward Howe is another mother that we all share. She is a mother of our liberal religious faith. Born in New York City in 1819, raised an Episcopalian, Howe became a Unitarian by 1841. And although her husband did not approve of her studying and writing and did everything he could do to disrupt her creative efforts, she persisted, writing essays and plays and poems, many of which critiqued women's limited roles as wives and women's limited power in society. She traveled with her husband to Washington, D.C. She met Abraham Lincoln at the White House. And in November 1861, just as Civil War was breaking out, she wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which quickly became the most popular song of the Union Army during our Civil War. And then in the early 1870s, as she worked for the abolition of slavery and for women's right to vote, she asked for the celebration of a Mother's Day for Peace to be celebrated on every June 2nd of each year. She wrote a Mother's Day proclamation, and I'll read just a little piece of it. "Arise, all women," she wrote, "who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or tears. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a general Congress of women, without limit of nationality, may be appointed to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the settlement of international questions, and the great and general interests of peace." 36 years later, our modern-day Mother's Day was established by Anna Jarvis, who said she was inspired by her own mother's work with Julia Ward Howe. Our world today is in great need of great mothering. Our world is in great need of people who know how to create and how to care for creation. People who are generous with their own lives, with their own life energy, and who may even be willing to sacrifice something for the sake of someone else. I have to tell you a story that just really happened to me just this past week. I went to the post office and was filling out a form when a customer, a younger woman standing at the counter wanting to ship a box, said out loud, $10, but I don't have $10. Within seconds, a woman standing at the very back of the line said, "You don't have $10? I'll give you $10. And she did just that. And the first clerk said, "You sometimes see this around Christmas time, but we don't see it that often." Shaking his head, his eyes wide, and the other clerk said, "There aren't a lot of people like you in the world." He said to the woman herself who had given the money. And I thought that woman mothered all of us, all the people waiting in the post office that morning, by reminding us to care for all of creation, including each other. As Anne Lamott writes, the main thing that ever helped mothers was other people mothering them, including aunties and brothers, including my own best friends' mothers and surrogates, many of whom were gay men, a chain of mothering that keeps the whole shebang afloat. That's what mothers do, and you, no matter who you are, can choose to do too. You can choose to create and care for creation and help keep the whole shebang afloat. You may or may not know that Anitra Lavenhar, Marlon's wife, is one of the founders or creators of our beautiful new Children's Museum here in Tulsa. How many people have been to the Children's Museum? Actually, haven't been yet. I'm dying to go. Okay. That seed of that idea, that was just an idea. More than 10 years ago, it was just an idea that came to her after their daughter, Sienna, died. Her first thought was to create an art center in honor and memory of their daughter, Sienna. So Anitra talked to artists and friends, and they explored the possibilities together. But the conditions for the art center weren't just right in Tulsa yet, but the Tulsa Girls Art School was born then. One baby was born then. And then a while later, Leah, an All Souls member and one of Lila's many moms, called Anitra and said, "What do you think about taking your idea and making it even bigger? How about creating a children's museum here in Tulsa?" Anitra said yes. And the two mothers started gathering more moms and kids and dads and people together. And for 7 years, they worked together as a volunteer board, creating a museum without walls, bringing exhibits to schools until they got their first building in Owen Park. And today, we have the Discovery Lab right down the street, at 31st in Riverside. And Anitra said, really, it's like my baby. It comforts me to think of all the children and families who will learn and be inspired and nurtured inside that museum that was conceived within Anitra's spirit and watered by the tears of her grief and nurtured by collaboration with others in this community. This world needs all kinds of women and men and every kind of mother. The kind of mothering we're talking about this morning is a quantum love leap, and it's something everyone at every age and stage of life can do. Pete Buttigieg, some of you may have heard him speak over the weekend, and if you haven't, I recommend you listen. Pete and his husband are mothering their two children. They're not just fathering them. Mothering means we create and we care for creation. Ideas need mothering. People need mothering. Even our planet needs mothering today. So as you prepare to leave this sanctuary of memory and hope, as you enjoy your Mother's Day brunches with family and friends, I encourage you to continue the conversation we've started this morning. How many mothers do you have? How many of your mothers aren't women at all? How many people or projects have you mothered so far? And what person or project are you ready to mother now? I leave you with this short story. During the last few weeks of my mother's life, We made phone and Zoom calls to dear friends and relatives. And one person we called is my friend Deb, who's 10 years younger than I am. And at some point, while I was holding the phone and listening to them talk to each other, my mom said, "Okay, I know what I need to say or ask of you, Deb. Please take care of my baby after I'm gone." Tearfully, in response, Deb promised she would. And she has. I'm very grateful to have so many mothers in my life, and I'm so grateful to have had the freedom to choose when I would become a mother. I ask again, how many mothers do you have? Mirabai Starr is speaking truth to us when she writes, "To be someone's mother is to die again and again. Die to who you thought you were and who you hoped you would become. Die to your cherished notions of what a child of yours should look like, sound like, behave like. Die to your illusions of control. And in proportion to all your deaths, you will be blessed with endless resurrections. You will rise radiant from the flames of what you thought was the end of the world. And your child will rise luminous from the ashes of your errors." I've done my best to be a worthy mother of this beloved congregation, and I will always love you, even when I can no longer care for you directly. I will always lift you up, just as you have lifted me up. Amen.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy sea. I am strong, but I am weak. I am weak, but I am strong. I am strong, but I am weak. I am weak, but I am strong. I am strong, but I am weak. I am weak, but I am strong. I am strong, but I am weak. 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 I am strong, but I am on.